Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to try and not move too much because this bench is really squeaky. I decided today that we're going to take a slight left turn from the usual fitness stuff and get into, like I said the other day, get into some other stuff that's, yeah, just a bit different. And for those of you who don't know me personally, which I think is most of you, you probably don't know that I'm an engineer, and I have been since I left uni in 2012. So today we're going to go through a bit of career advice and really just my experience as a woman in STEM. Just to set the scene a little bit, my career has been pretty standard for most people that I know that have come into engineering anyway, which is that I went to sixth form after I finished my GCSEs. While I was at sixth form, I went to a university open day and they convinced me that engineering was the way to go, basically by telling me that I'd get paid a decent amount, which I do. And then I went to uni, did a bachelor's degree, got a graduate job in the civil service, which is where I still am now, 11 and a half years later. For those of you who don't know, civil service, UK government, essentially. To brag a little bit, I am a chartered engineer with the Institution of Mechanical Engineers, and have been since 2017, go me. And I've got a master's degree as well, which I was funded to do through my graduate scheme at work. So definitely an engineer by trade, but not the kind that is like twiddling around with spanners and stuff. That's never ever been my strong suit. Ask my dad. Now, when I tell people that I am a woman in an engineering career and in a engineering environment, the first question I always get asked is, have I faced any discrimination while I've been doing my job? And generally speaking, I've had only positive interactions in my workplace. I've had a few not so great ones, which I'll get into in a sec, but for the most part, people are great and really supportive. And if anything, I think I've benefited from my organisation in particular trying to centre women in engineering. I will say that because I work for the civil service, for the government, a lot of what are the kind of normal barriers you hear to women going into STEM careers aren't present, or are definitely a lot less prevalent. So things like, flexible working, part-time working, that kind of family element to it. The civil service has always historically been pretty good and really inclusive with that kind of stuff. And also the pay gap, because our pay is very transparent typically, and there's not much variation between people, full stop, so that does help. But that's not to say that I haven't had my odd instances of feeling like I was being singled out anyway. Most of the advice that I get asked about really is people who are just about to start their engineering career or are already in it and maybe are early on. But if you're someone who's thinking about it, and maybe you're thinking about going to uni, or you're thinking of taking up an apprenticeship, or you're thinking for applying for an engineering job after you've already finished uni, definitely do it. It's been a really fantastic experience for me, and I love being an engineer. I love the variety of the stuff that I get to do in my current job, but one of the things that really appealed to me as well when I did leave uni was the number of jobs that are available to you with like a mechanical engineering or an aeronautical engineering bachelor's degree, which is exactly what I did. If you've already started your engineering career, and like I said, that's most of the people that I meet on a regular basis, my main piece of advice is to be brave. You have to challenge yourself to speak up in the meetings, and it is really hard to start off with, but I promise it gets easier the more of it you do, and nobody's going to speak up for you. So you do have to be brave, you do have to ask the questions, you do have to get involved, and you can do it in a way that's authentic. You don't have to change who you are or all of a sudden become, this massive, assertive, really intimidating person, but you do need to make your voice heard, because chances are you've got something that's really useful or really beneficial to offer. I have had instances where I have had to speak up for myself, and the one that always sticks out the most to me, I think it's because it was the first time I remember like really feeling like I needed to be brave, and it was somebody questioning me in a meeting about a subject that I knew like the back of my hand. and then basically telling me in front of a room full of people that I didn't know what I was on about, even though I knew I was right. Ordinarily, I think up until that point, I would have just gone, okay, whatever, I'm not going to argue, because I'm not a particularly argumentative person anyway. But at that point in time, I don't know, maybe he just caught me on a bad day or something, but I was like, no, I'm not having it. So I just remember saying something, you know, professional, but along the lines of, I'm quite familiar with the standards and the process. I know that's correct. We can check in the break if you like. And I know that sounds like a pretty nothingy statement, but for me at the time that felt huge. And that really has given me, that one instance gave me such a boost of confidence to continue to speak up for myself. And now I don't have it if I'm chairing a meeting or something and somebody tries it. Professionally, most people know now not to try it with me, but if someone does, I kind of love it now. I kind of love shooting people down. But it's generally because, you know, I know what I'm talking about. I know what my job is. I'm good at my job, and I can stand firm on my firm ground and know that what I'm saying is valuable. That comes with time, but it also comes with challenging yourself and, yeah, being brave. That's my main piece of advice. I think that's all I'm going to say on this topic, but it is one that is very close to my heart. It's my job. I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. So all I'll say is that uni definitely isn't for everybody, but it definitely was for me. And lastly, engineering isn't necessarily for everybody, but it definitely is for girls and women.